Yo, that's actually perfect. We're in Chinatown.
What's going on, guys? My name is Isaac, currently out here in Montreal. I am a professional poker player. I've been doing this for the last 3 years, and this is my first official poker vlog. And I'm not gonna lie, I am pretty excited. Not really sure how I want my style to be or how I want these videos to go yet, but all I know is I want to start sharing hands with you guys and maybe build a little bit of a community. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But as we are out here in Montreal, of course, if some of you guys know, there's a casino called Playground, or more known as a poker room. It's pretty fun in there, especially during a series. We got the WSOP going on right now, and I've been here for the last 9 days running probably the worst I've ran in the last year. So I thought, what better of a time to pull out the camera, film some footage, and create a nice little poker vlog for you guys. I hope you enjoy, and if you have any suggestions for me going forward in the future, I'd appreciate it if you leave it in the comments. Also leave a little subscribe. Alright guys, we are playing 5, 10, 20 today, and for this first hand, we are in the big blind with Ace, King, offsuit. The button raises to $60. The small blind player then 3 bets to $200, and now it's on us to make a decision here with Ace, King, and a couple different options. We can either 4 bet to a sizing around $400 to $500, or we can just go all in. I don't really like the option of going all in here because I'm sitting around 2,700 effective and the button has us covered. So we don't want to get stacked by him. So I decided that the best option here is to just go for a 4 bet, and the sizing I chose was $475. The button ends up folding, and so now it's back onto the small blind player who ends up going into the tank, asked to see my stack. I'm starting to get a bit worried because, as you guys know, players rarely 5-bet all in with a hand worse than queens or ace king themselves, and rarely even do it with ace king. And given that it's a recreational player, I would say that he's got even less bluffs in his range. So once he decides to go all in here for $2,000, I'm not really loving this spot. It might seem a bit nitty to tank here with ace king, but given that it's a player I've never played against before and he's 5-bet against me all in here, it just feels so strong. One other thing that's going through my mind here is that these games have been playing super nitty. I've been here for the last few days and I have not seen anyone bluff, but I just can't find it in me to find that fold button, so I end up flicking in the call and we're off to a run out. I'm just praying that he's got a hand like pocket queens here, maybe pocket jacks. I don't know. Not really too sure. We have to fade here, but when the run out comes queen high, I'm not loving it. I miss, and he ends up showing a hand that I did not expect to see. He's got 9-10 offsuit. So once I saw this early on in the game, I'm thinking, wow, we got a game on our hands. This game is about to get crazy. Thank God I decided not to play the tournaments today. On to the next hand here. We're under the gun with pocket sevens. I open to 50. An older gentleman in the cutoff 3-bets us to 150. For this price, I'm just never going to be folding this, especially a pair when we're sitting over 100 big blinds deep. I make the call. The flop comes out and it's Jack, Jack, 5, rainbow. Pretty good flop for us. I check it over to him and he goes for a pretty quick continuation bet up for $150. I'm not folding my pair yet as he can still have ace king, ace queen, and after I saw that hand from earlier, I'm not too convinced that these guys are having a lot of value in their range, so I'm not folding yet. I make the call. The turn comes out and it's an offsuit 3. I check again. He decides to check it back. Pretty good news for us. I'm feeling like we got the best hand. The river comes out and it's an offsuit 5. I'm feeling pretty good, so I go for a small little bet of $25 just in case he's got some pocket 9s, pocket 10s. I want him to call me with ace king, ace queen. I flip it over and he looks at my hand and says, "That's no good. I've got pocket 9s. Nice hand, sir." And we're on to the next one. You see, guys, it's hands like this that made me think, I don't know if I want to start a poker vlog or not. I don't know if I want them to know how aggressive I get in certain spots, because then people might just start calling me. So I might need to knit it up after this releases. Anyways, There's an open to 50 with 3 callers. I go to 500 from the straddle, and everyone folds. Solid. Salad. I know you might be thinking, why did you show the 9 if you don't want people to know you're an aggressive player? Well, this was a crazy game, so, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Kings. Yeah. Unfortunately, I forgot to record preflop here. So UTG, he's a pro, he opens to 50. I got history with this guy. I'm in the straddle and I go to 225. Pretty standard here for me. He makes the call. The flop comes out ace 4-5 with 2 spades, and I decide to go for a c-bet of $100 here, which is pretty standard for me in this position, as I'm going to have a bunch of kings, queens, jacks, 10s that want to go smaller here, and just a ton of ace-x as well. So this board favors my range pretty heavily, and I'm just never going to go too big here. He makes the call. When he makes the call here, I think the only hands I may fold out are like his king x and queen x that don't have any flush draw connection to the board. So he's going to be continuing a ton here with all of his pairs. Now the turn comes out and it's an offsuit king, and given that I block a ton of ace king here, which is like the main holding that we'd want to get value from, I decide to check it, kind of hoping that he starts value betting his ace queen himself, going for 3 streets of value. Or maybe he even checks it back, some ace-x on the turn, and we can stack him on the river. I just think from these positions, given preflop action, if I go bet, jam, he's just going to start folding a ton of hands and maybe only start calling ace-queen plus. So I'd rather have him start bluffing his maybe like pocket 6s to 10s, as I think he has all those still in his range, given that I bet super small on the flop. So anyways, a bunch of different things going on in my head here, and I decide that check jam is a better route here. I'd rather have him bluff with his bluffs. I'd rather have him catch up with a hand like pocket 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. Maybe they can hit a set on the river. We can cooler them. I kind of have all these different thoughts, so I decide to go for a small little exploit here, play a little bit tricky. Unfortunately, he ends up checking back the turn, but that's okay. We still got plans for the river. River comes out and it's an offsuit 10. So now we lose to a front door flush draw like queen jack suited, but I'm not too worried about a hand like that because now we cooler 10s and ace 10 suited, which is even better for us. I decide to continue my story. I check once more, and he decides to go for a bet of 425, which is just music to our ears. Our plan worked perfectly, and of course when he does that, I go for the jam, all in. And he tanks for a little while before folding. Yes, unfortunate for us. Let me know in the comments if you have any idea what he could have had here, but we're on to the next. Ladies and gentlemen, I have some terrible news. Unfortunately, I forgot to record pre-flop again. I know, but please, it's my first video, please allow me. Anyways, Roger opens under the gun to 60, and I defend the straddle. Not too much going on pre-flop. And he decides to c-bet $50. I make the call. Turn comes out, and it's the queen of clubs. I check again, and we are playing a pretty tough player. That's all I gotta say here. Roger is someone who will put you in the blender. He is a solid pro who plays above 5'10" as well. Now on this turn, he decides his hand is still good enough to continue betting, and he goes for a bet of 175. This is not a size that I'd expect him to go here with hands like 2 pair plus, even though on this specific turn he should only be betting hands like 2 pair plus here and strong top pair holdings. So given that information, I decide to make the call. The river comes out here and it's the 3 of hearts. Pretty big brick. I decided to go for the check, and expecting Roger to go for a pretty big sizing here. A couple things that are going through my head is he opened under the gun and he bet flop and turn on an ace high board with 3 Broadway cards. So he's not going to have a ton of bluffs in his range. It's almost a spot where he's going to have to turn pairs into a bluff if he is going to have bluffs here. Now, given that information, this is not a spot where I would love to see a massive bet, but he ends up going for 750. And now I'm just going to walk you through my thought process that I had in the live moment. Flop. He goes for a standard C-bet. Nothing crazy there. Ace high board, he opened under the gun. Cool. You can still have everything in range here, given that it was a range bet. And then now I'm thinking about the turn sizing and the turn card. And on this kind of card, I could have straights, I could have two pairs, I could have a ton of strong hands here. So this is a spot where, again, I would only expect him to bet a hand like ace-king plus on the turn. He's never going to be betting a hand like ace-9. Betting even a hand like ace-jack becomes pretty risky there. So now I'm thinking, well, if he should be only betting strong holdings on the turn, why would he go so small? Right? Why would he go so small? It almost seemed like a small little exploit, given like, if he doesn't raise, then I think I might have the best hand here, type of thing. But then when he goes so big on the river, now I'm thinking he would never do this with a hand like ace-king, because I could trap a hand like two pair on the turn. Why would I raise when there's straights and sets out there that beat me? So it just didn't feel like he had value here, even though it doesn't seem like there's many bluffs that he could have either, given that he's a solid player. Anyways, with all this in mind, I decide to flick in the call. Looks like our reads are right, because he doesn't look too happy before flipping over pocket jacks. And GG to Roger, he's always in good spirits, says good hand, and hope to see him soon on the tables. I turned on the camera a little bit late again, so I'm just going to recap what happened here. The middle position player opens to $50. Player directly to his left makes the call, and I decide to 3-bet in the hijack to 225 with pocket nines. Alright, now that we're all caught up, both players end up making the call for 225. So we end up heading to a flop, and it's king, jack, 3 with 2 diamonds. Pretty bad flop for us. I know what you're thinking, why am I betting here? This is a range bet. This board favors my range as the 3-better. So I'm just going to be betting everything that I 3-bet with here to protect my bad hands and to get value with my good hands when I have it. The original opener makes the call. Guy to his left folds, heading to a turn. It comes out the ace of hearts. So pretty interesting card here, because now there's a lot of pairs plus flush draws that are available. So I don't expect him to do too much folding here. But this card really favors my range. I'm not going to have a ton of bluffs to choose from here. So this feels like it's one of them that I need to take. So I decide to go for a bet here of $500. I'm trying to get him to fold any jack X or king X basically, or maybe some under pairs that just didn't believe me. I know I'm ahead of those, but again, this just favors my range, so I'm just going to go with it. He makes the call decently fast, so now I'm a little bit worried that he's got 2 pair or maybe even a set of 3s. Something just feels like he's got something strong here. My confidence isn't at the highest, as I've been running terrible this trip. And so when the river comes out, the 10 of spades, and he checks it over, I just check it back. And he ends up showing ace-3 suited for the win. Pretty ambitious call by him on the flop, but he gets there on the turn. Nice hand, sir. And on to the next. Other than that first hand with ace-king, this table was pretty tight and soft. So there wasn't really too many interesting hands other than the ones that I've shown already. A lot of them went like this, where I'd open and everyone else would fold, or I'd get called by one player, make a C-bet, and then they'd fold, or I'd 3-bet and they'd fold. And there wasn't really much resistance in this game. That's kind of all I got to show for it. But we had a nice little solid loss, as you can probably tell. And yeah. Hey guys, I'm back in Toronto, in the cold. I don't want to be here. If you guys want to stay tuned and stay connected on my videos, we will be grinding all winter in Florida. That will be sick. Playing at the Hard Rock down there. And yeah, I think that's all I gotta say. Peace.